Multimedia Social Stories and Social Skills Acquisition of Students with Autism by Rachel McQuaid, Arkansas State University. Abstract. Autism spectrum disorder is a rapidly growing diagnosis. Individuals with autism typically exhibit deficits in the area of social skills. Therefore, efficient interventions and programs are needed in order to address these crucial skills. Social stories are effective intervention strategies because they specifically address social and behavioral concepts through brief, simple scenarios that are free of distractions, reflect the individual's interests and needs, and are easily understandable by the individual. Social stories are successful interventions because they emphasize the child's strengths while adhering to their needs, such as the need for visuals, predictability, and attraction to minute details. Through the use of evidence-based social story interventions, individuals with autism have acquired essential social skills. However, the integration of multimedia approaches to social stories is more effective in teaching social skills to students with autism. Utilizing technology is an essential instructional component in the classroom because of the interactivity and accessibility of the cost-effective, vital educational resources. Students with autism are mentally stimulated through the interactive real-life scenarios that are presented through the multimedia formats. The multitude of multimedia social story intervention formats available for educators prompt the need to make informed decisions based on observations, student characteristics, and family input for appropriate social story interventions and social skills acquisitions for students with autism. Introduction. Students with autism exhibit social skills deficits in nonverbal communication, social initiation, social reciprocity, and social cognition. There is a lack of social skill developmental programs that are used with fidelity in the public school system. Therefore, many of students with autism have deficits in the acquisition and generalization of social skills. Through the use of multimedia social stories, students with autism will be more apt to learn, acquire, and generalize social skills by developing and implementing an individually designed and delivered social story program that encompasses a multimedia approach. The learning theory is applicable for guiding this research as it relates to teaching social skills through tailored social story interventions that intensify students' attention, memory, and motivation. Furthermore, social stories can provide modeling of acceptable social behaviors through which the student observes and imitates. Social skill acquisition through the use of social stories has been proven effective as it can be designed to meet the individual needs and interests of students. Students with ASD are unique and diverse in their social skill development, as well as in their interests, both of which play a vital role in skill development. The utilization of multimedia social stories is crucial to social skills acquisition of students with autism spectrum disorder, especially in this age of technology. Therefore, it is imperative that educators select the most effective format and implementation method of multimedia social stories. Significance. The Individuals with Disabilities Act stresses the development of social skills in those with ASD. Therefore, special and general education teachers must be competent in the development of most effective social skills intervention strategies based on the students' individual social skills deficits. Many students with autism have social skills deficits that require interactive, skill-specific social stories that exemplify socially acceptable behaviors. Social story efficacy in social skills acquisition is dependent upon the individual's format, implementation, and interactivity of the social story. Multimedia social stories are appropriate for students with varying abilities because of the modifiable aspects. Therefore, there's a multitude of formats and designs available for the instruction of social stories, which leads to them being an inherently attractive instructional strategy because they are relatively easy to implement and are reported to be applicable to a wide variety of behaviors. It is imperative that teachers select appropriate designs and delivery methods of social stories in order for students with autism to receive effective social skills intervention. Through the integration of technology, multimedia triggers a multisensory learning environment that stimulates and increases the effectiveness of social stories by encouraging students with autism to become active participants. Summary of research. This research has led to a compilation of scholarly journals that provide clarity and focus on effective formats of multimedia social stories for the use of social skills development and determining factors on the format selection of social stories based on individual students. The multimedia formats that have been proven effective in social skills acquisition of students with autism are iPad, virtual reality programs, PowerPoint, and Smartboard. Social story effectiveness in the format of iPad has been researched by several scholars because of the ease of implementation, cost effectiveness, and social acceptability of the iPad social story. Research indicates that users enjoy the social story more via iPad, and in particular acquire generalization of giving compliments. Almalak and Martella argue that more authentic learning occurs when a student uses an iPad-based social story because the implementation can occur in the student's natural learning environment. Computer-based virtual reality programs are another type of effective social story format because of the extensive individualization available to the programs. Computer-based programs are cost-effective, designed for varying abilities, strong visual sources, predictable, and promote active participation from students with autism. Osmer examined the effectiveness of a computer-based program that resembled a book on the social engagement of 3 young children with autism. His research indicated an increase in social engagement for all of the participants and generalization of social skills to a classroom setting for 2 of the participants. There are multiple types of computer-based programs available. However, virtual learning environments and robot-assisted therapy interventions have been proven effective in increasing student motivation through the modernization of social stories. Virtual learning environments facilitate communication, capitalize motivation and interest, increase accessibility, and are cost-effective social story interventions. Because virtual learning environments result in improvements in student performance during educational settings, efficient learning and generalization of social skills occurs. As reported by teachers, the flexibility and adaptability of virtual learning environments result in the user-friendly, easy-to-learn-to-use, suitability, usefulness, and appropriateness of this type of social story intervention. Currently, robot-assisted therapy is proven to be more effective in social skills acquisition when compared to other types of computer-based programs due to the increase of student interest, mediation between child and therapist, lower level of needed prompts, increased engagement and motivation to complete tasks, increase in eye gaze, and more apt in asking for help and greeting. Social story development through the use of PowerPoint is more effective when compared to social stories in paper and pencil format. Foucault's indicated a substantial decrease in socially unacceptable behavior for each student with autism who interacted with a PowerPoint social story than those who read a paper social story. During his research, teachers reported liking the PowerPoint better because they were not time-consuming. PowerPoint application is easily individualized and can include self-modeling of social skills, interactivity, videos, audio, and animations. The integration of smartboard technology into classrooms has positively impacted student learning and educator instruction. According to Zen and Sutman, smartboard technology eases graphomotor deficits in multimedia social story format strategies while increasing student motivation and boosting classroom learning performance. Students in this study responded with enjoyment at seeing their own picture and modeling inappropriate behavior, which led to increased motivation in imitating the image. Both participants were reported to have used what they have learned from the social stories in structured and unstructured environments. Social story effectiveness is dependent upon the deciding factors of student age, skill deficit, accessibility to the program, culture, cognitive ability, reading level, interest, and social acceptance of the program. Students' preferred activities and consistently touched and/or manipulated materials should also be considered when determining the most appropriate type of multimedia social story format. Solutions and practical implications. Gresham indicated that the failure of social skills intervention programs was due to the less frequent and less intense use, the delivery of the program, and the failure to match the program to the skill deficit. The suggested recommendations to solving these issues directly correlate to the implementation of multimedia social stories. Through the use of multimedia social stories, those involved with students with autism can have the ability to implement and influence the social stories to be consistent with their expectations and goals. Because of the flexibility of multimedia social stories, stakeholders have the responsibility of determining the most effective implementation and delivery of multimedia social stories to individuals with autism. Multimedia social stories can be utilized at home, before social engagements, during social engagements, and after social engagements. The social validity of a multimedia approach to social stories also provides teachers with the option of inclusive interventions. As indicated by several of the scholarly journals, following Gray's established guidelines of 2 to 5 descriptive, perspective, and affirmative sentences for every directive sentence, for the development of social stories is still effective in combination with multimedia formats. Comprehensibility and interactivity can be increased through the use of brief and real-life scenarios and environments within social stories. Narration of social story, providing users with choices throughout the story, and presenting corresponding text and visuals closer together on the screen. Observations, assessments, and questionnaires and interest inventories are essential in selecting appropriate designs and delivery methods of social stories in order for students with autism to receive effective social skills intervention. Conclusion. This research will be beneficial to any educator who teaches students with autism spectrum disorder. Educators can utilize multimedia social stories in teaching social skills across all disciplines because the multimedia approach to social story interventions provides a more culturally responsive intervention that boosts social acceptance and confidentiality. Students with autism will benefit from the use of multimedia social stories because of the interactivity and connections made through the representation of ideas in multiple formats. Teacher and student access to the use of differentiated instructional methods will also be available due to the flexibility, accessibility, and cost-effectiveness of a multimedia approach to social stories. Students will be stimulated and encouraged to acquire and practice metacognitive strategies such as self-monitoring through the use of multimedia social stories. Student-specific social skill deficit topics that the multimedia social stories will focus on will encourage social and personal development of students with autism. In order to further the design and implementation of multimedia social stories, educator training institutions need to provide teachers with relevant ways to integrate the use of technology into the classroom. Exemplary intervention strategy implementation that employs the use of multimedia social stories and social skills acquisition requires trainings and opportunities for teachers to investigate and design contemporary technologies. Once stakeholders adequately determine the most effective format, develop the individualized social story, and implement the intervention with fidelity, students with autism will experience meaningful learning and social skills acquisition that can be generalized and utilized throughout their life.